You're listening to Film Seizure. Before we get started, just a word of caution. This is a pretty R-rated show, so if you're listening at work or school or around your kids or grandparents, or hell, church for that matter, you might want to put some headphones on. Catch new episodes every other Wednesday on filmseizure.com and follow us on Facebook at Film Seizure and Twitter and Instagram at Film Seizure, all one word. But for now, if you're all set, then let's sit back and enjoy a couple of grade A assholes sit around and talk about movies.
Big John Taylor, mercenary, soldier of fortune. He's more than a man. He's a walking death machine. Candy O'Perrin, sexy undercover cop. Her deadliest weapon is her body. Mike O'Malley, Hollywood's top stuntman.
What do you want us to do? Fight our chances.
Only this time the action's for real. And Rick Chan, black belt, primed for action with one blow. The death blow. Only two words describe the power and fury of this unstoppable team. Raw force.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Film Seizure. I'm Jason Oliver.
I'm Jeff Arbuckle.
Oh, and boy, do we have a good one for you today.
Now, I got a question for you, Jason. Got a question for you.
All right.
You ready for this question?
I'm ready.
All right. So, how do you fight a Hitler-looking white slaver dude, his tough guys, on an island full of weird monks and shamed kung fu zombies?
With raw force!
Yeah!
Raw force!
Yeah!
Yes.
So that is our movie for this episode, Raw Force,
Raw
the 1982. A little bit of everything. It's definitely exploitation.
Yeah, I think we should say this is our first annual Raw Force
Yeah,
podcast because this movie is so damn good
That's fantastic.
that I want to watch and review it every year.
Dude, if we actually pull that off,
It's amazing.
that'll be amazing.
I think we should start the first Raw Force festival.
Yeah, we should do like a Raw Force convention.
Yes, Raw Force convention.
'Cause, I mean-
everybody dress up like characters from Raw Force.
Oh yeah. I think that's how we should probably celebrate Halloween forever.
Oh yeah, I've got like 3 costumes already picked out.
Yeah. So coming in the Raw Force, it's 1982. Looks like 1975.
Yeah.
It's got karate, which is a trope of the 80s, I think you could say.
Yeah, I mean zombies.
You got zombies, which were popular at the time. You got
Cannibal monks.
cannibals,
Cannibals
just in general.
Yep.
Surprised this movie wasn't made by Italians.
Yes. It did kind of feel Italian.
Yeah, it did kind of, but I think that's the Filipino of it all.
Yeah, the international aspect.
Yeah.
A lot of really bad ADR in this movie.
Oh, and boobs.
So many boobs.
So many boobs.
So many
And some
boobs
bush.
spelled B-E-W-B.
Boobs.
Boobs.
And bush.
Yes. Like that
I'm
late
gonna say
70s,
that again.
Early 80s bush.
There's a lot of just hair. There's a lot
There's
of hair.
a lot of hair. Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah, chest hair, genital hair.
The bartender guy, which we'll get to the bartender
my goodness, yes.
guy. Oh, this movie is glorious,
It's
guys.
really,
I mean,
really
so
fun.
I'm a guy who, over the last few years, I've watched a lot of exploitation movies. And as we were getting ready to watch this and getting ready for this, as I explained to Jason, welcome to my world, bitch. Because this is the sort of shit I love to watch. If any of you have listened or read any of my B-Movie Enema articles at bmovieenema.com, you know I love the boobies and I love me some exploitation. We haven't yet gotten to blaxploitation. Boy, I can't wait until we do that too.
Yep.
That may have to become part of our annual festival of exploitation.
Exploitation festival.
Yeah.
But what do you really feel like was being exploited here?
Well, that's the thing. It's like exploitation is such a loose term where, people made these movies knowing exactly their audience, knowing exactly what they had to do in the movie. I mean, it's booms, boobs,
Yeah.
Boomblosions.
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 Blast.
And blast. I mean,
Trying
it's...
to stick with the B words there.
Yeah.
You know, it's explosions, it's zombies, it's gore, it's ninjas and kung
sex,
fu and sex and boobs and
yeah, and
it is
alcohol and drugs
Yeah.
certainly seem to be a part of it. So, I mean, was it really truly exploiting anyone? Oh, we could talk about that for... I mean, a lot of people think it's just so terrible that these people had to show their boobs. They signed the contracts.
Yeah.
I mean, my sympathy for kind of ends with the moment they put ink to paper.
Yeah.
But at the same time, these were the exact types of movies that these people made and that they wanted to make and that they got out there. And I mean, these are not exactly... I mean, if we watch a lot more of these types of movies, which, oh God, I hope, please, let's watch a lot more of these types of movies. We are going to see a lot of these same people appear in a lot of things. I mean, Cameron Mitchell, we're gonna hit Cameron Mitchell up a lot. I mean, because I have a feeling we probably need to watch...
we need to watch Low Blow.
Low Blow again, yeah.
No, that was we did that at a bad movie night once, and that was a real crowd pleaser.
It was fun, man.
Yeah, Low Blow was pretty spectacular, and you get a lot of the same vibes in Raw Force that you kind of get from Low Blow.
Yeah, I mean, by the time Low Blow came out in the mid '80s, a lot less boobs, but a lot more karate,
So
a lot
much
more
karate.
fight.
God,
But
the '80s were obsessed with karate and kung fu
we really were, and that's fantastic.
and
But
piranha attacks.
piranhas, yeah, piranhas eat people in this movie, and that's
Yeah.
great. So there's really not much to go into. This movie had none of the plot and all of the plot at the same time. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, just trying to sum this movie up is almost impossible. I think right here we'll insert probably the best explanation from this movie, which comes from this movie, which is actually a character, or one of our main characters, talking about the movie that you're about to see, but reading from a brochure
About this
island called Warriors Island, where they're all going to go.
Right.
So we should just listen to that right here.
Raise the dead.
That's what it says.
Let me see that. Discovered by Captain James Cook in 1779, Warriors Island is supposed to be the burial ground of disgraced martial artists, inhabited by a bizarre sect of monks widely believed throughout the Orient to raise the dead warriors from their graves, to repel attacks or threats by outsiders. The island was bypassed by the Japanese Imperial Army during World War II.
Still glad you came, Mike?
Sounds like it's going to be quite a trip.
And that was amazing.
I got some
it's
editing work to do.
Kind of bonkers.
Yeah, no, that's
Sorry,
it's-
Jeff. We have to edit right there.
Yeah, no, and I mean, this is, that's the perfect summation of this movie. I mean, it's it's a solid paragraph of dialogue, almost monologuing about what you're about to see, and it's just it's so great.
And I love the tone of his voice.
Yeah, it sounds sarcastic.
It's so sarcastic. He's kind of rolling his eyes as he says it to the other guy in the cab as they're going to this yacht that they're going to get on to go to Warriors Island. And it's this early indication that this movie knows exactly what it is.
Absolutely.
And it knows exactly how ridiculous it is. And that, I think, really feeds the frenzy of how fun this movie is.
Yeah, and I mean, it says right here on the back of the box, Edward Murphy's Raw Force is a virtual smorgasbord of over-the-top sleaze.
Yes.
Mixing zombies, cannibals, outrageous action, gore, copious amounts of nudity, and starring exploitation greats Cameron Mitchell and Vic Diaz. So, I mean, that's all you need to know about it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you decided to skip past that little exposition from the main characters, then just read the back of the box.
And the beautiful thing about a movie like this too is you can know everything that's in it. Every single moment it could be described to you, and you'll still immediately need to see it and want to see it and have so much fun watching it, because it really is one of those things that has to be seen to be believed.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not like The Room or Birdemic, where it's like, oh my god, you have to see this to believe how horribly shitty this.
Right.
This movie is actually very well made.
Yeah, it's not
to
bad.
the exception of a couple of bad edits.
Yeah.
But I think that's just the fact that they just didn't have the shots.
I think that they didn't have the shots, or they were lost.
Possibly. I could see a lot of this movie being
Vinegar
thrown in.
Syndrome did a really, really nice restoration of this, which God bless them. It's a 2K restoration from the original 35 millimeter.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm going to give them a applause for their work.
It's very well done, the restoration, and you can really kind of tell there's moments where I think they did the best they could.
Yeah.
With probably the budget they had, and other areas look really, really nice, and it's sort of this uneven mix of film stock and nicely restored shots, and some that weren't so nice. And I think that there were some areas where they probably didn't have much to work with.
Yeah.
But it's kind of also is part of the charm here is the rough edits, the shitty stock. It's it's just kind of glorious, really, to watch.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, and the thing is, though, it's like this is it doesn't pretend to be anything more than what it is, too. And I think that is part of the exploitation, the loveliness of exploitation movies, is that it doesn't try to interject over the top dramatic moments to try to give some sort of gravitas to anything. It's just fucking bonkers out of the. I mean, like, the movie wastes no time in getting to boobs and zombies.
Yes.
And
right away.
So
it really does set the tone.
Sure does.
Yep.
Sure does. Now, I made the prediction during the trailer that we wouldn't see a single bra. I still stand by that.
There were definitely bras.
There were no bras.
There were bras, but I think Geoff is saying that a bra with support and underwire, which may not have existed in this movie.
No, that shit didn't.
But there were some scenes, like you even said, that, well, she probably didn't sign the nudity disclosure. Like she.
Oh yeah, there's like they put okay, so the movie starts off with our Nazi guy who tries so hard to be Herbert Lom from the Pink Panther movies, Inspector Dreyfus.
Yes.
He's got an eye tick. But he's got like a little Hitler mustache. He's got the Hitler mustache.
He's sort of Asian looking too.
But he has a European accent.
Yeah, and he is deliberately putting on a German accent. Like he is trying to be kind of a comedic parody of Hitler here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very clear. That's what he was going for.
At the very least, he's got an evil German.
And he's got
guy.
kind of like the German gangster white suit too.
Well, he is the photo negative opposite of the guy from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Except for he's also a white guy.
Yeah. He's a little heavier too.
Yeah, but still, no. So he lands on this island with his toughs, and he's got a plane full of what looks to be like. I mean, they say they're from Hong Kong, but they're Filipino.
It's Filipino. I think
women.
is what we determined where most of this movie was shot was the Philippines area.
And so they've got these girls that they're going to sell into sexual slavery.
Yeah, that's the vibe you get. Is they're being sold as sex slaves essentially.
Yeah, and we find out later that they raid these the
brothels.
brothels.
Yeah,
I almost call them hostels. That's a different,
different movie.
Yeah, it's a whole different movie.
Yeah, they raid these brothels, and they take them to this island, and they exchange them with these creepy Malaysian looking, Filipino looking monks.
Yeah, one of the guys is like the Filipino version of Peter Lorre.
Yeah, he's always kind of doing the things with his eyes, and his eyebrows, and rubbing his hands together. It's like super super creepy monk guys.
Yeah, and what they're doing is they're trading the weight of all of the whores that they brought.
Yes, this is true.
For an equal amount of weight in jade.
So yes, so if you are trading a 100-pound whore, you will get 100 pounds in jade. I mean, it's equal.
They also have 100 pounds of crap,
which is interesting because we were thinking. At first, we're kind of thinking like that's weird. Like they must like the heavier the heavier ladies, you know, like they don't.
Yeah, because they took a
and
skinny
in fact,
girl
they kick
off.
a skinny girl off, and they take one of the barrels of jade off, and they didn't want that one for some reason, and they're not really clear why. And there's a whole conversation about it that we missed because I think we were just kind of shell shocked a little bit by how this movie has already started.
Yeah, because it's like, all right, so we got these weird monks who are buying these girls. They tell the monks like take their clothes off like right away.
Yeah,
like,
that's
in
what
the
they
first
want.
90 seconds.
And I think that makes sense too because they don't want the weight of the clothes.
Right.
They're only going to pay for the meat. Right.
Which spoiler alert.
Yeah.
The meat.
The meat.
So they're just ripping these dresses off, and it's like boom, titties in your face immediately. And it's fantastic. And so they put them on the weighing machine. Some of the girls in the back are still wearing their bras.
There's some social commentary here too. If you really want to dig into it.
I want to hear this. Let's
Well, I mean, you know, the whole kind of objectification, like the women being treated like objects and meats, you know, like and literally they were being traded as if they were blocks of meat, and the weight was what was important. Like, when do you go when you buy a steak? You get charged by the weight, right?
Right. Well, I'm pretty sure that Edward Murphy.
You don't think so? You don't think
No,
he
I
had that
think
in
he was
mind?
just like, get the fucking tits out. Get those fucking tits out.
I'll dig for social commentary wherever I can find it.
Yeah, and I'm just like, get them tits out.
Even into the jade mines of Raw Force.
The jade mines of Warrior Island.
Yes.
So they kick the one girl off, and the guy and his toughs leave, the Hitler guy, and they basically are like, they basically like straight arm the girl down, and it's like, fuck you, you're screwed. Sorry, no more room on the plane.
So the monks rejected her, and they didn't want her back, so she's like left on the island.
Where a samurai zombie comes out of the forest
and slices her with a samurai sword, while the monks look on behind her, laughing creepily.
Yeah, they were into it.
Yeah,
So they were real into it.
It was
I
like,
was really into it
so,
too.
It's a really bizarre moment that's never really explained, because apparently they kind of have raised all of these warrior zombies on this island that they control, but
they can't put back into the ground.
They can't put back in the ground, and I don't really. It's never really clear like what the purpose of them are.
They're just the disgraced ninja.
Yeah, disgraced ninja warriors that are buried at this island that are raised from the dead.
From what I understand is this is what happens if you fuck up that first obstacle in Ninja Warrior. You get thrown onto this island.
You go to Warriors Island.
Yeah. Where you're a disgraced ninja warrior. So then we now go to like Los Angeles, and there's a boat that's being loaded up to go to the South China Sea, which, by the way, that is a forever trip. I mean, I would not plan on coming back.
At least they're sailing from the West Coast and not the East Coast, right? I mean, I guess that makes a little bit of sense, but that's a long boat ride.
The Pacific's a big place.
Yeah, pretty big.
Pretty big.
But yes, they're all getting
Maybe they're coming from Hawaii.
They're all getting on this boat, and
we're introduced to the Burbank Karate.
The Burbank Karate Club. Yes, there's like 4 of them, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Burbank Kung Fu Club.
Oh, they say Karate Club in the movie.
Wow. Fuck this box.
Well, the alternate title of this is Kung Fu Zombies, right?
Yes, it is.
So there's like that's at the interchangeable semantics that you see a lot in 80s movies, where they call things karate, they call things kung fu. Yeah, they mix up their ninjas with their kung fu warriors. It's it's like all just like fighting with Asian tropes, right?
Yeah, it's it's all vaguely Asian.
Yeah.
But these guys, the Kung Fu Club, the Karate Club,
I like Karate Club.
The Karate Club. Okay, so we have Dirty Mustache Guy. We have Magnum PI.
Yeah.
Or not Magnum PI. We have a karate champion, a West Coast karate champion.
He is the West Coast full contact karate championship.
And I doubt that severely, because he just looks like
he kind of looks like a scrub.
He looks like the guy who gets beat up in the championship in the movie that stars somebody else.
But hold the phone on this guy, because
He is fucking
He
rad.
is the centerpiece of the best scene in the entire
We
movie.
think. I mean, these white guys are pretty interchangeable.
They really are. It's
mean-
actually the different Asian characters, and I apologize in advance for the stereotype, but usually you hear the stereotype that the Asian characters are the ones that are harder to tell between.
Well, we're
But
introduced to a Bruce Lee clone.
But
essentially.
seriously, like all of these American warriors, karate warriors, are like very interchangeable. They
Yeah,
all have,
I don't know
They all
any
have
of
they
their
all have
names.
chest hair and stupid mustaches for the most part. They all I can't remember any other names. And it's very confusing until maybe the third act who the hell each one is.
Nah, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I know that there's not Magnum PI.
Yeah. And honestly, they become more identifiable by the women they hook up with.
Yes.
Throughout the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And most of the women are blonde too.
Yeah,
It's
most
like-
of the women are blonde and actually really hard to tell apart as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because at one point I'm trying to figure out, it's like, is that still Camille Keaton? or
Well,
is
I'll
that
be
the other girl?
honest. The easiest way to tell them apart is by their breasts.
Yes.
Because
Big
their
boobs, small
boobs,
boobs.
their boobs are very different sizes and shapes, and all very wonderful. So there's a little bit of everything for the heterosexual male here.
You can't. Yeah, you can't even tell them apart by their own landscaping. Oh, I'm in heaven.
Oh, my goodness.
So anyway,
What a movie!
oh my god, this movie's great. So they all get on this boat, and a lot of nothing happens for a long time. But on the boat, we are introduced to Chin, who is the cook on the boat, who is our Bruce Lee clone.
Yes.
And he is a fucking badass.
Yeah, he's a badass. This guy should have been a superstar.
He
Honestly,
really should have been. I mean, he is every bit Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
I would say. I mean, at the very least, every bit of a Jackie Chan like action star that the Americas could have had.
Oh yeah, the Americans really, if they could have embraced this guy and I think probably the problem with him was that was probably perceived more as like the Bruce Lee ripoff.
Exactly.
And the carbon copy, not as powerful as Bruce Lee. So that was kind of you end up taking those roles. And you end up kind of taking they're a little cheaper versions of the Bruce Lee movies, you know.
Could you imagine this guy and Low Blow being in a movie together?
Oh, like it should be.
This would be the best movie ever made.
Yeah, I mean, oh my gosh.
So we're also introduced
So good.
to the captain of this boat, who is played by Cameron Mitchell. Cameron Mitchell, this is a guy who I've always been aware of. He's been in a lot of things that people have seen. He was in a lot of westerns in the 60s and probably the 50s. And then he started making a lot of exploitation movies when he got older, and a lot of low budget movies. And he is the unofficial mascot of Red Letter Media's Best of the Worst. They've watched many of his movies, including movies that I'm already fondly aware of, which is Space Mutiny, where he plays the captain of that ship.
That's a classic.
And he was the bad guy in Low Blow. And he just did a lot of these different types of movies where you can tell that, you know, it's like, and he's always listed as the first person, the lead star, and even if he's not like in it that often, and you know, he was somebody that low budget movies could kind of bank on a little bit, especially the direct to video set. And so he usually gives it 100%. I mean,
Like,
at the very least, he is a presence of some sort, and he kind of reminds me a little bit of a William Shatner or an Ernest Borgnine.
Very.
Or
I get the Ernest Borgnine vibes big time.
Or Martin Balsam. He's that type of kind of. Most of the time, he's going to be kind of crotchety.
Yeah.
Or he's going to be the wise old man. But in this movie, he's kind of.
He's crotchety.
He's kind of crotchety. I'd say he's only kind of crotchety.
Yeah, he's funny.
He is funny because he has a bunch of lines that just happen off screen.
Yeah.
But when you first meet him, he is talking about the lady who owns the boat, who owns the tours that go to what Ninja Island? What was it?
Warriors Island. Warriors Island.
And I wish it was called Ninja Island.
But apparently they never actually go on the island because Chin is very
typically,
adamant about
yes.
that. He's like, no, we know. And then, but this particular trip, they're going to go onto the island.
Because the
Burbank Karate Club really wants to go on the island. So she's going to make that happen for them. And Chin is not happy about it.
Right. So Cameron Mitchell and Chin, who's played by a man named Ray King. Yeah. He goes by some different names throughout his career, but Ray King is how he's credited in this. And so Cameron Mitchell's bitching about the lady who owns the boat, who is played by the lady who played Mrs. Roper on Three's Company.
Yep.
And because she's cheap.
Yeah.
Like Cameron Mitchell's pissed because there are things that need to be fixed on the boat. There are things that need to happen, but she's a penny pincher.
Yeah.
And he's trying to tell Chin that it's like, this is my last time that I'm gonna sail this boat for. And Chin's like, you said that the last time, And he keeps telling Chin, it's like, you gotta leave and go and do your own thing.
Because he's the cook. He's the cook on the ship.
And you can open a Chinese restaurant.
He wants to open a Chinese restaurant, and
of course,
and he's like, you'll never make the money you need to make in this gig.
Yeah, leave. And he's trying to give sage advice.
Right, yeah.
But he comes off as just this crotchety old man who's just tired of working for this other crotchety broad, but
so fast forward just a quickly here, to get another moment of crotchetiness, early moment of Cameron Mitchell's crotchetiness, where inexplicably the Burbank Karate Club plus Chin
is giving
a demonstration in karate and kung fu.
which is a fight scene that takes place over the entire boat.
Yeah, it's on the deck of the boat. Everybody's like drinking cocktails around the corner, around the edges of the deck, and there's this full on like karate demonstration. Which is basically a fight with sticks.
It's the most 80s like boat kung fu fighting that you will ever see.
And at one point, one of the sticks goes through the window, one of the windows of the boat.
Of the bridge,
yeah, and Cameron Mitchell comes out screaming and yelling like, you're ruining my boat, and he starts yelling at Mrs. Hooper, and it's like,
Mrs. Roper,
Mrs. Roper, Mrs. Hooper, Mrs. Roper, like
hanging with Mrs. Roper. Wait, what?
Well, I don't know, but anyway, he's kind of establishing himself as this crotchety comedic relief.
Yeah, and he's brilliant in this movie because there's a lot of things that he does in this movie. Like, he has these great lines about, like, he says all sorts of, like, just... Oh, at one point he calls a guy a fag. He thought it was a fag.
Until he felt his knife.
Right.
Yeah, because it comes up to him in the bathroom behind him.
And he's like, hey, old man. And he thinks that, I'm about to get propositioned in the bathroom.
Right.
Which I guess happens.
I guess. That's another 80s thing, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I went to a lot of public bathrooms.
I think this is like an 80s misconception. Like, they always kind of used that.
Well, also they're
like
in a
the
weird
movie
land.
Cruising and all that, I mean. Anyway.
Yeah.
But he kind of recounts this story
and
after
he's like,
this big bar brawl. And he's very playful about it.
Yes.
He's kind of thumbing,
Yeah,
and
he's like, that guy over there. Yeah, no, it's kind of funny because it's like, he says things, like he said a couple of things in that scene. I can't remember what the other thing was, where it's like, whoa. But at the same time, it's like, oh, Grandpa. It's like, Grandpa's on the sauce again.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but
Grandpa's saying the inappropriate things.
Yeah, but, the funny thing is that there is not a mean-spirited bone in this movie.
There really isn't. I mean,
even with all of, like, the whores and the sex workers, I mean, there is nothing mean-spirited about anything. It's, hey, we're in a strange, exotic place. Let's go to the whorehouse.
Right.
The house of a
thousand and one pleasures. Yeah.
Which is a dump.
It's in a total shithole. Yeah, like it looks like an abandoned building. And actually, one of our karate club members makes a joke about the fact that, wow, whoever named this the house of a thousand and one pleasures, like, okay. It's pretty shitty.
So we're kind of skipping around.
We're skipping a lot.
But really what happens is they make land in what I don't think it's actually Hong Kong. I think the ultimate goal is to get to Hong Kong. Maybe. But they make this stop in Malaysia or Philippines or something.
I don't know my geography.
And
it was definitely shot somewhere. It was definitely shot somewhere in the Philippines, though.
Yeah, they didn't know their geography because they wouldn't tell us. But they get off the boat, and Mrs. Roper and one of the girls, who's the wife of this really sleazy the most 80s guy you'll ever meet with the mustache.
He's got the
and everything.
mustache, kind of the chest hair. He's
curly hair.
Curly hair. He's kind of like a Fred Willard meets Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, Fred Reynolds or what
Fred
you
Reynolds
call
or
Burt Willard.
Burt Willard.
This so he wants to
And he's
go,
got a hot blonde wife too.
He does.
Yeah.
He must have had money.
Yeah. And one of our karate club members has been kind of chatting her up.
Yeah, they've made friends because at first he hits on the girl on the boat, and then he comes over, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you're married." And the guy was like, "Oh, that's okay, we can all be friends." And now they're all best friends.
Yeah, and you get the kind of sense that this guy thinks, "Oh, I can if I'm pals with this guy because he's good looking or whatever, he'll probably get me more pussy because." Because he's definitely interested.
He's a swinger.
He's a swinger-ish. He's definitely interested in this house, this Palace of 1,001 Pleasures, which he drags one of our karate guys to.
Yeah, and so they go in, and the guy's going to get laid, and the karate, or Big John, I think is this guy, and I know this because it's the girl that gets the cake dumped on her later.
Right.
I know none of this makes sense, but to be honest with you,
None of it.
We had a little bit of a fever dream. There might have been something slipped in our Chinese food.
I'm running a
lunch.
temperature because this movie is just too unbelievable.
It's amazing.
It's so good.
I'm gonna watch this again soon. Anyway, but so.
I mean, it doesn't even matter. Like, there's a big.
Doesn't fucking matter.
Basically, the villains show up at this brothel because they're going to kidnap all the hookers, take them to Warriors Island, and there's a big fight.
We're going to kidnap all the hookers.
There's a big fight that breaks out, and everybody, like, some people escape. Our karate guy and Burt Willard escape, and then they all meet up at a bar.
Yeah. So that's okay. So now they're at their port of call essentially. And so they're all just kind of drinking, and the guy's like, "You wouldn't believe what happened here. We had to hightail it out from the cops.
The cops
from
were
the fuzz.
busting up the brothel, because they were posing as cops to steal the hookers,
steal the women. Yeah. So and he's like, "Yeah, I mean, I didn't really want to go there, but it's like I decided to go with the guy." And they're all like,
right.
And Cameron Mitchell is talking to another one of the guys about how he wants to buy his own boat and sail the seas and take people on these tours and whatnot. Yeah. And so that's when one of the many fantastic fights breaks out because...
And fantastic, not even sarcastic.
No!
These are really good, well staged fights.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they look legitimate.
Yeah.
I mean, they look legitimate. So Cameron Mitchell goes to drain the lizard, which I'm surprised he didn't say.
And the Nazi Hitler mustache villain, goon, his main goon, who's got this long ponytail and a bandana and like a cut off.
They keep calling him a hooker. I'm like, wait, what? They keep calling him a hippie.
Yeah.
But the thing is like this is what movie producers in the 70s thought a hippie was, which was a biker.
Yeah.
He was a biker. Except for he didn't ride a bike.
No. He flew on planes and boats.
Flew planes and boats.
But anyway.
And set fire to
So
things.
the general idea is that they want these guys who were at the brothel, they were followed because they witnessed what them kidnapping the hookers. They needed a dispatch of them. And so a big fight breaks out. And Chin...
He holds court, man.
Oh my gosh,
he
so
just
good.
lays waste to everybody in this bar, and there are people like so there's it's kind of a strip club, but not because there's
a naked woman dancing on the bar,
and she just kind of keeps dancing away
during this
and
whole
it's the
fight scene, and
dance.
they keep cutting to it. It's just the most unsexy.
And she's just swaying, and she's kind of looking around like, oh god, I'm being maybe she was being exploited. I don't know. She didn't look too comfortable up there.
She didn't look super happy to be there.
But then again, there was a bar fight.
Yes.
So I mean,
but the best part of this bar fight is the very end of the fight where everybody it's pretty clear that our villains are getting the floor mopped with themselves and everyone's like running and our main kind of tough guy with the bandana, the hippie guy, in air quotes, he gets in their van, which they use to kidnap the women in, and he's driving away, trying to get away, and one of the karate club members
comes running
out of the building. He jumps up onto the hood of the car, still in full stride, does a flying karate kick into the driver's side window of this van, cracks it. The guy in the car is startled, obviously, and wrecks.
He's like, "Oh my god, it got kicked!"
And so it's basically this guy wrecked a van with his foot.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I actually really appreciate this. The rest of the movie, he is on crutches for the most part, and a little bit laid up.
Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, I hurt my."
He's like, "I think I hurt my foot." It's like, "Yeah, you definitely hurt your foot, dude."
Yeah, I think that one was Mike, the guy who was played by Jeff Benny.
And he's the one who
spells
hooks
his
up.
name like
He's
me.
the one who hooks up with our hot blonde task force SWAT team.
She's
girl,
like a
woman's
LAPD
cousin. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's yeah. So
There
is a very capable action lead in the female side too.
Yeah.
Like there's this cop lady who's LAPD or something.
She's on the SWAT team or something.
Something like that. But she's like legit, like fucking badass. Like she would have been better on TJ Hooker than. I have no idea where I'm going with this.
I don't either, but
I'm not even going to edit this out. This is fantastic. Heather Locklear. She would have been
yeah.
better than Heather Locklear because she was capable. Like
Yeah.
she like at the end, she's like with them, like fucking karate kicking guys, punching guys, shooting guys.
It's funny because
great.
we're watching her and she's in this scene early and she's really, really bad in it. And Jeff makes the comment that, well, I don't think they hired her for her acting ability.
But she didn't show
But
her
she
other
actually wasn't
talent.
exploited for her physical features at all in this movie. She was hired, I think, because she's a legitimate
I think she had
martial
the moves.
artist.
Yeah, I think she had the moves.
Yeah, and she was very beautiful, and yeah,
And she was
kind of a badass.
I don't think that because when you saw the close-ups of her, it looked like she had like smile lines and stuff. I don't even think she was that young.
Yeah.
I think she was probably in her 30s.
Yeah.
And she could just be in action movies and had the ability and looked kind of tough.
Yeah.
She did remind me of some of the main leading ladies in like the Andy Stairs movies.
Yeah.
Which is fucking fantastic. I add that to the list of Raw Force
there you go.
Appaloosa. But there's a big chunk of this movie where nothing happens, but everything happens.
And
it's
basically,
fantastic.
the next thing that happens in this movie
is a party.
Oh,
the party I wanted to go to.
So this scene is a little bit inexplicable. It feels very much like it was shot separately from the movie.
Yeah, it really
probably
did.
wasn't in the script. I think, theorizing here, but I think they realized that their runtime was a little low.
Probably.
And they needed a scene to insert somewhere as filler.
But it's like a 10-minute scene.
And it is like a 10-minute party scene.
There is one thing that it does do, though. It does connect the pieces from everything that happened before it to everything that happens after it. Because people make connections and get hooked up and get connected and put into the same place.
There's only really one connection that's made, though, and that's Mike and the cousin when they get the cake dumped on them.
Yes and no, though. That was John. That was
John. But you could cut that totally out and still have them in their cabin together, making out and having a shower. Like, I don't know. I mean,
well, they didn't end up making out in that scene.
When they went back to their
no,
cabin.
she was showering, and they were talking about each other's lives.
Yeah, and then they hooked up.
Did they?
Yes, they did. Very tasteful, like
That's
towel
right.
off of the body, rub the butt scene.
Well, because her husband is fucking another chick.
Yeah, that's the scene that's in the trailer. Actually, if you watch the trailer, there's actual. I love it.
Nudity
You know
in
you're in
trailers.
for something great when the trailer has nudity. Yeah.
Yes. Guys, we're just a couple of dudes here, man. I mean, don't think poorly of us. We're just a couple of dudes who like to see boobs. I mean, honestly, like ladies, like there's any ladies. Ladies, if you're out there,
There's no way my wife will listen to this podcast.
So let's just talk more about them
Susan,
titties.
if you are, I love you so much.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, I bet she would like to see some beefcake.
Absolutely. And there's lots of 80s
there's no beefcake.
No, but there's lots of
There's a
80s
lot of-
chest hair. So if that's your thing, if that's your fetish,
If that's your thing, please call me. I've got lots of chest hair.
this one is off the rails. I'm sorry, guys, but
No, this is fantastic.
This movie, I think Jeff put it best, is like a fever, and that's kind of how I feel talking about it. Is I'm a little. I don't know how to talk about this movie because it's so
it really
bonkers.
isn't. But I mean, we had so much fun watching this movie. I mean, like we're not being ironic at all when we talk about we literally want to watch this movie a lot. Like,
Yeah.
we literally would like to watch this movie again right now.
Yes.
Right now.
Right.
I mean, if it weren't for the other two movies that we've got planned, we'd be
We'd probably
watching
watch
it
this
again,
again,
right
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
If it weren't for you fucking assholes that wanted to listen to an episode, we'd be watching it again.
We do have a fun one up next. We won't spoil it, but we do have a fun one up next.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we're yeah. I mean, but there is a thing about this movie where there's a lot of it. Like, there's a guy who is a bartender on the boat who has the craziest look that anybody has ever had. Like, he is what happens if a scientist spliced together Ron and Clint Howard into one human being.
I was thinking Clint Howard too. Yes, same wavelength. He is bizarre. He's got the craziest hair
Because he's also bald.
you'll ever see. He's bald. Almost at the front half of his head is bald, but he's got frizzed out hair behind it, like really frizzed out
Yeah.
hair. These huge mutton
Mutton
chops.
chops. Oh my god, his mutton chops are glorious. And he's like serving like alcohol and
He's
everything.
a bartender or something.
And
yeah.
somebody says that they want that they needed ice for something. So he goes over to a block of ice and just fucking headbutts it. And it just shatters the ice, and he's picking up the ice from the ground. It's like, there you go.
Yeah, which explains why he's bald in the front half of his head is because he does
Because
that.
he's got it, yeah.
And he really likes doing it because later on he's like, yeah, I make this cocktail and it's got lots of crushed ice.
Yeah, which is
And he
funny
really wants
because
to make it because
one
he wants to crush
headbutt,
more ice.
one headbutt crushes ice, and he is amazing. I'm sad he didn't live. I assume he died.
So that's the thing. Like, there's this party scene which is so stupidly insane.
But it's like you are at this party
Yeah.
too. Like, it's like you're walking around this totally wood paneled room,
Yeah.
and you're just hanging out with these
It's
people.
supposed to be happening
with
in one of the
medallions and
cabins.
chest hair.
But basically, like, everyone starts to hook up, right? And then they all go their separate ways from this party, and that's when the attack of the village people happens.
Yes. so our main Hitler guys, goons, are now, they show up. They're dressed in like leather vests. They all have their own different. Like, one guy's wearing a Superman shirt.
One guy's got a Superman shirt, another guy's got face paint on.
with
Another-
also a ski mask.
Yeah, another guy's like just like a construction worker. Like, it's freaking
I'm surprised
bizarre.
there wasn't a fucking Indian on.
Well, that's the face paint guy. He looked. He
I
was
guess
the
so,
Indian.
yeah, he was
Yeah.
Indian.
But the whole idea here is that they don't want this ship to get to Warrior Island because that's where
Because
that's
they're
where
afraid
they know
that they're going to
going.
be found out.
Right. So they put sugar in the gas tank
Yes.
because of course they do. Of this, I don't even get to the gas tank
Of a boat?
Of a boat.
Movie magic.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
And stop asking
like-
questions of this
it's like,
exploitation
oh, there's
movie.
the gas cap. Let's get
Yeah, like on the side of the
right.
boat.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
So they put sugar in the
it's
gas tank.
no, back then it would have been behind the license plate.
Yes, yes. the ship has stalled, and now they get a raft, and they all board the ship and they attack. And their whole objective here is to kill everyone on board.
Pretty much.
burn the
And
boat.
burn the boat down.
Yeah. So they start dousing with gasoline, and then, of course, they don't realize that the Burbank Karate Club is on board.
3 guys saves.
No, it's 4.
Well, nobody.
There's 4.
Oh, there's
there's
the
4
4th,
members
yeah.
of the Burbank Karate Club. There is an LAPD SWAT team member, and Shin, who is just a shade less awesome than Bruce Lee. They're all on this boat, and they absolutely fucking destroy them. Like, it is glorious.
Yeah. So what ends up happening? So there's a scene where a guy is it's his birthday. So the party is for a guy's birthday, which we're pretty sure was just a producer had a birthday and they wanted to have
It's like
a birthday party.
Hey, I gave you money for this movie.
Give me them tits.
I want a scene where the whole scene is my birthday. And we have a party, and we all do a lot of coke and drink a lot of booze,
and I touch a lot of boobies,
and I get to hook up with the actress of my choosing, and he
did.
does.
It's her name was Britt something,
and she
is cute.
She was the most beautiful woman in this movie.
Yeah, and so he's like sexing her up.
Well, he's not though. He's kind of a goofy
guy. Well, he's
guy.
kind of goof, and she's wanted for murder.
Yeah, she's very. It's a really funny scene actually because she's very predatorial. She knows what she wants. She's kind of. She's talking about fetishes and how her last boyfriend liked it a certain way, but actually he's dead now, and he keeps making. Oh, he's dead. I'm so sorry to hear that. Well, he's being very goofy.
He's like lounging on the bed, and she's like just taking her clothes off, and she's like, I'm connected with the mob, and he's like, oh,
yeah,
and she's like, I'm wanted for a murder rap.
Yeah,
but
my old boyfriend is dead. It's implied that she killed him. She's into like rough stuff and fetish, and he's basically realizing that he's way over his head with this girl.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they get attacked by a guy who's wearing a German helmet with a swastika on it.
Yeah, it's got a swastika painted on it.
It's amazing. It is amazing. Like, this guy is everything you want in a bad guy from the 70s and early 80s. And he kind of looks
Latino. Like, he busts in. He's got this big gut hanging out, too. And with this vest,
he's a biker. He's legitimately the Hell's Angels type of, or whatever the guys who would have rode around wearing Iron Eagles and swastikas, and just your typical biker tough.
But he busts into this room, and he immediately just starts dousing with gasoline while they're in there. And to his credit, our Gary Pulfler, or whoever the hell he was, celebrating his 30th birthday, who's about to get sexed up by this beautiful...
And by the way, a 30-year-old guy in 1982 looked like he was about 45.
Yeah, he was middle-aged, yeah. But he gets up, and he starts to fight this guy. And he puts up a pretty decent fight, but ultimately loses, because this guy is unhinged.
But...
So he loses this fight, and it's implied that this guy probably gets beaten to death or something. And then you flash back and forth to other fights happening on the boat, and there's all sorts of good fights. Like Chin is fighting the Superman guy, and it's awesome.
They meet up twice, and that's fantastic.
It's so good. But then eventually it makes it back to this cabin room, and our beautiful blonde woman is face down on the bed, tied up, naked, and our biker Nazi, our biker Nancy is going to have his way with her.
It seemed as though, or at the very least was keeping her from.
There was an earlier comment that this guy was like, "What happens if my roommate shows up while we're doing this?" And she's like, "Well, the more the merrier." Well, guess what?
The roommate shows up,
and it's one of the karate club members.
We think. I mean, we think. We don't know who these guys. We don't know much about the people.
But it's the guy that they earlier said was the West Coast full contact karate champion that we questioned. But he comes into the room just like, "La-di-da, I'm back from my workout," and he sees what's going on, and he immediately starts fighting the biker Nazi.
He is like, "I am here to fight!"
And they have the most epic closed room fight scene.
It is brutal. I mean, it is a brutal fight.
They're blooding each other's faces. They're throwing each other into walls. At one point, he gets thrown, our karate champion gets thrown on top of the naked woman over the bed.
But he just gets back up.
And he starts fighting. And he punches this guy. And it gets pretty clear that at this point, the Nazi biker is maybe outmatched.
Yeah, so he tries to lock himself in the bathroom. And what's our karate champ do? He fucking tears that wall down.
He tears the door down with his hands.
Bare fucking fist.
Like, he punches through this door and just rips it apart. It is phenomenal. And the look of terror in the biker Nazi's eyes is
knows
wonderful.
He's fucked. And it's great, man.
So he takes him by the back of his head, the Nazi biker, and pushes his head into the toilet.
And drowns
him to death.
In the fucking toilet. Which, by the way, that's what should happen to all Nazis.
Yes.
Fucking eat my turds.
But what's incredibly sad about this is that's the last you see of him.
Yeah, because what ends up happening is that only a handful of people. So the 3 Karate Club guys, the sexed up freakazoid husband of the girl that also gets to a boat, the cop girl, and actually no, his wife gets kidnapped.
It's the cousin of
The cousin.
the cousin of the SWAT team.
Yeah, she gets kidnapped.
yeah.
But so the Karate Club guys, Mrs. Roper, Cameron Mitchell, and
And the 3 Karate Club guys, yeah.
well, I said that the sexed up guy, they are able, and Chin are able to get to a raft and they float away. And what ends up happening is that they're just kind of adrift. They see a plane go over, which happens to be the main goon and the Nazi looking dude, or the Hitler looking dude, and they're like, well, we're not going to go pick them up.
Right.
Also, Nazi or a Hitler guy is pissed off at his main goon because he was supposed to kill everyone, and exploding the boat with gasoline wasn't good enough.
So, but they turn around because they had just dropped off another shipment of women plus the cousin.
Yes.
And then they saw that all these people survived, and so they turn the plane around and they go back to Warrior Island.
Basically to try to head them off.
Right.
Because they're kind of floating towards Warrior Island. So they do get to Warrior Island. Hitler guy has a bazooka.
He's got a bazooka, just happens to come out of nowhere.
And he starts firing the bazooka at our heroes.
Yeah, it's like
misses them.
It's like a bazooka with unlimited ammo. And
because you never see him load that
and
thing.
he keeps hitting trees.
Yeah. But one of our heroes, actually I think it was Mike. Or no, it was John. I think. No. Mike or John?
John was one of crutches, right? Hurt his foot?
No, Mike was the one on the crutches. Well, one of them, Mike or John, it doesn't matter. Fucking Joe. I don't know. Joe was there. he takes the bazooka from the Hitler guy and basically like, get out of here, and like is holding the bazooka upside down, as if it's a rifle.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. I fucking love this movie, man. I fucking love this movie.
And then the monks show up.
The monks show up. So the monks show up, and but now we're
this is
thinking,
officially like our third act here.
Yeah. So the monks show up, and they're like, "You have to fight our champions," and we're thinking, "Fucking A, Mortal Kombat."
Yes.
And so what their champions are the risen dead. Yeah. My brain just shut down. So anyway, so they're going to raise some more of their dead, and they're like, what was the line? You wrote it down, didn't you?
I didn't write it down, but
something about our eternal fighters with
the cadavers.
The cadavers.
They give them the power of invincibility and
fighting
strength.
or something.
I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever. They raise the dead.
Yeah, they raise the dead, and so now the island's overrun by zombies. They do find the girl, and we do find out that that the whores are being brought to the island and sold to the island. And yes, I'm calling them whores.
That's what they are.
Well, I guess. I mean,
the sex workers.
Yeah, I mean,
they're
whores. They're fucking.
I don't know
whores.
what the preferred vernacular is these days.
I mean, empowered.
Yes.
They're empowered. They're taking the sex back from men.
They're taking it back.
But they're not, because they were taken to the island where they're going to be eaten.
Right, so that's
by
the thing.
monks.
That's the big reveal, is that the monks used the flesh of these women. And I don't know why it has to be women. That's a weird thing, too, but apparently it does, because that's all they buy. Or maybe it's just easier to kidnap whores from brothels than anyone else. But
yeah, nobody comes looking
but
for
whatever,
them.
but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. The point is they eat them.
It's whores because they can make them naked and show boobies on a
fucking
movie.
A.
That's the whole purpose. But they're eating them. They're not having sex with them. And it's actually there's a moment where a character says, well, why are they? I mean, these are some horny monks. Basically, is what he says. Like, oh ho ho ho. The Nazi guy thinks says, ho ho ho. They're not having sex with them. They're eating them.
Yeah, and to which I would say it's like, well, I mean, that's how you initiate sex. I mean,
to what?
To eat them. Out.
Eat them out.
But no, that's not what they're doing.
No, they're not.
just
They're
eating
eating their flesh. They're barbecuing them, and they
Literally
literally
barbecuing
barbecuing them and eating
And-
their flesh.
and
And this
picking
is
it off
supposedly
with
what
them, like-
gives them the power to raise these dead ninja warriors.
Man, this is the second time on this show in 4 episodes
Man.
that we've talked about the ingestion
of human flesh
to
give you magic
give
powers.
you.
Yeah, what is up with that?
I don't know.
That's-
I think we should try this.
there's-
Seriously, this is a sign we need to try this.
No, I do not endorse this. Phil Seizure does not endorse this.
B-movie Enema does though. No, anyway, so the
We haven't watched Cannibal Holocaust yet, so that could be
that might be the break.
crown jewel of our cannibal films. Yeah.
So basically a big fight. It's like basically our heroes are now fighting both the Nazi and his main henchman, who's not so sure about what's going on anymore. He's having some second thoughts, and the zombies and the monks. It's a big fucking battle royale now, and it's glorious.
Yeah.
It's just punching and kicking and shooting and fighting and scratching and punching and more kicking and more shooting
And
more
bazooka in
and bazookas
and
and
piranhas.
explosions and dynamite and piranhas. Lastly, yes, piranhas.
And the whole time, I'm gonna screw it up again. Mrs. Hooper,
No, god damn it. This is Mrs. Roper.
Mrs. Roper. Thank you. Mrs. Roper is wearing one of those dresses that doesn't have shoulder straps.
Yeah, it's like
Right.
a beach dress.
So
like
it's really just an elastic band above her bosom area that's keeping
that was the
it up.
hardest acting worker
And
and
it
this
really was.
hardest working actor in this whole
the
movie.
whole time she's struggling in this movie when she's running and things to keep this thing up from exposing herself.
And I was worried, man.
And we were both really worried, and she did
We
a
were
great
really-
job, and thank you for that, because it was not something we wanted to see.
Yeah, thank you.
But you know that probably, like, having to wear that dress, or that whatever jumper, that entire shoot, you know it happened a lot.
Oh yeah, she
Like,
was all over the place.
She was probably, those things were probably
She was
flying
out and
everywhere.
loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we need another take.
Yeah.
Oh, we need another take. Yeah. They made a big mistake with that outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, so eventually our heroes get into the plane that the Nazi guy, or that the Hitler guy and his goon has, and they escape. But not only do they escape, there's a bunch of jade on that.
Yeah.
And so everybody's going to be rich now. And, you know, Cameron Mitchell is like, oh, I'm going to finally buy my boat. Yay. And
He's going to go in a partner with Mrs. Roper. I got it
yeah,
right.
I got it right that time. She's like, I love you. And he's like, man, yeah, whatever.
Whatever.
Whew. So they fly off. And the most depressing thing of today happens.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a chyron on the screen that comes up that says,
To be continued.
and we're like,
to which we both exploded in joy at the prospect of a sequel to Raw Force. And we immediately went to our phones and looked it up, and it was never produced.
it was never produced.
Never produced.
Planned but never produced.
Yeah.
So I want to announce our Kickstarter to make the sequel, Raw Force 2, Raw Harder.
Yes. Maybe we can make it a crossover with Low Blow.
Oh my God, Leo Fong, we're coming for you, buddy. We want you in this
Raw
movie.
Force 2.
So, gosh, this movie is fucking great,
It's
man.
good. It's so good. I mean,
There's so much giddiness that we had as we were watching this movie. I mean, like I said, we're just a couple of dudes who wanted to see some boobies this morning, and we did, and we were very pleased. We're very happy with that. But then on top of that, that wasn't even the cherry on top.
Nope.
I mean, no euphemism there, but the cherry on top was everything else. It was like the whipped cream, the cherry, the nuts, the sundae sauce, whatever. It was all everything else made everything perfect. And this movie is perfect.
yeah. I mean, that's sort of weird to say, but it is perfect.
It's just it's so wonderful to watch.
It's the perfect combination of a lot of different sort of, I don't know, trash, right? and but also with some pretty competent filmmaking and some really bad filmmaking. To
Bad editing, wonderful fight
some
scenes.
really good staging of fight scenes. Like
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the right amount of good and competence to where the movie flows and everything that is in the movie is over the top and hilarious, and there's also that sense of the people involved knowing what they're making.
Yes.
Right? And which really helps there too, but not to the point where they're always winking at you. It's,
Although, when they winked at you at the very end.
at the very end, they wink at you.
Yeah, Big John winks at the audience.
Which is really a great ending.
It really is, because it's like, do you believe what you just watched?
Right.
Because you're going to want to watch it again.
Right.
Wink.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
It is sort of a lightning in a bottle kind of thing.
It
And
is.
it almost makes me glad that there isn't a sequel, because I feel like it just would try too hard.
I think we could write it to be not trying too hard. I mean, I think we could do that.
But I mean, if the original creators...
I know. I mean, the original creators would have probably just done something the next level up, which probably would have been robots or something.
Yeah, there would have been cyborgs or something.
Yeah.
Or witches, probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know if they would have been that self-aware back then. I mean, they were just making whatever they could get into, particularly Southeast Asian theaters and Cinemax. I mean, whatever we could get into a video store, basically. If it gets to a video store, we're golden.
God, I can't believe I never saw this as like a 10-year-old boy, because it would have blown my freaking mind. I mean, I loved it enough now. I would have loved it so much as a 10-year-old.
Yeah. There were some things in it that were just marvelous. Marvelous little pieces of beautiful B-moviness.
Yeah.
And it's just so great. And now, there is one thing I've been reserving. When we were watching the movie, I saw a credit come up, and I kind of like cocked my head a little bit, and I'm like, that name sounds real familiar, or looks really familiar. And it was the credit for music by.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Music by Walter Murphy.
Okay.
He does all of Seth MacFarlane's music for his TV shows.
No shit.
Yep. So he does American Dad, Family Guy, Cleveland Show.
Oh, wow.
He probably does The Orville.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, and the name Murphy is all over this movie. I think it was just a group of, like, maybe a father and his kids, or brothers, or something, made this movie, and Walter Murphy was the music supervisor, or in the music department, as he's listed on Internet Movie Database.
Huh.
And he is Seth MacFarlane's music guy.
Wow, that's interesting. Huh.
Which is really
There you go.
interesting,
There's your
because
pedigree.
it's it's because the movie does have a pretty good score.
Yeah, it does.
And I mean, there is some competency there too, where it's like, there's an actual orchestra to it. It's not just some cheap horse shit,
Yeah.
So yeah, I saw that name, I was like, really? And then I typed it up as after we were wrapped up, and it's like, oh fuck, yep, fantastic. So I noticed that because it's one of the very first credits that you see at the end of like Family Guy or American Dad after the cast. Music supervisor Walter Murphy.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it was kind of like, what was the movie we were watching where we realized that J.J. Abrams scored it?
Oh yeah.
Oh God, what
that?
movie? It's not Extro. It's Night Beast.
Yes.
Night Beast? Yeah.
Yep.
That was a young J.J. Abrams scored Night Beast when he
Which
was
was just
something
like-
like 15 or 16
It was
years
just
old.
like on a Casio or something. Yeah.
Which, how bizarre is that?
That is bizarre.
Yeah.
That's great though.
Yeah, it
Fantastic.
is.
But anyway, so I don't think there's really much more we can say about
No, I
this
mean,
movie.
we've said a lot, but honestly, we've left a lot out. I mean, it's one I think that you should just go get the Vinegar Syndrome release of this.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. It's really well put together. Very, very well put together. Grab some buddies, watch this movie, have a few beers, do whatever you do, and put this on. I guarantee you will have a hilarious hour and a half.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably recommend maybe don't get stoned while watching it, because it may melt your brain. I mean, we were we had a beer.
We had a beer, but
we were pretty straight.
Pretty sober, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, whoa, my brain's already starting to ooze out of my ears here. But no, I mean, it's such a good movie. I mean, it's one of those. It's a product of its time. It's the type of movies that people try to make these days.
Yeah.
But fail utterly at being too self-aware.
Yeah.
This movie is the right amount of self-aware.
Yep.
Because it understands what its purpose was without belaboring that point.
Yeah, without putting that winking, I guess, at
Yeah.
you. They saved the wink for the very end, and it's the perfect ending, really.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that would have made it more perfect would have been for us not to get our hopes up that there was a sequel.
But I almost love there's something charming about that too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that was probably more common. I mean, there are a lot of light action, like light-hearted action movies. Kind of did that sort of thing, like where, well, we're gonna go on another adventure.
Yeah, right.
Like Firewalker is a good one, where it's like, wow, this is totally set up for a sequel, where we're just gonna get more wackiness from Chuck Norris and Lou Gossett Jr. and Melody Anderson, but nope, nobody likes that movie except for me.
I like that movie.
I love that movie.
It's fun.
Oh, Cannon.
Maybe we'll do that one day.
Oh, yeah, you bet. But anyway, no, I mean, this movie has no plot, but all the plot. It has, I mean, it's such a lovely little time capsule of a movie, and it's so much fun to watch, and you don't get the impression that anybody feels embarrassed or unwilling to be there. So even to say that it's exploitation is using that term lightly, because it's like those girls were just having some fun, and it's like they knew. I mean, they knew what they were being asked.
You get the sense that everybody's having a good time on this film for the most part, and even to the point where I think there are things going on while they're shooting in the background where characters are talking to each other, sort of in character, that you hear.
Yes.
And that,
like Cameron Mitchell has so many things that he talks about offline, like off screen.
Wanting a McDonald's hamburger.
McDonald's hamburger. I think at one point he talks about diarrhea or something.
Yeah, like it's gonna give him diarrhea. It's anyway. I don't know. We should wrap this up.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Just immediately order this movie or watch it wherever you can watch it, because you're gonna love it.
Yeah, and I mean, we loved it, and we were, I mean, just everything about it, just everything about it, even the weird chest hair.
Yes, even the weird chest hair.
Yeah, so
that's Raw Force.
That's Raw Force. Yeah, so I mean, we say this, we're gonna say this every episode. You can check out more stuff from us by going to filmseizure.com. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, where we'll be putting little nuggets up there for you to check out. Yeah, I mean, why don't you take us out here?
Should we give a teaser of what's next, or?
Okay. Well, yeah. Why don't you tease what we have coming up in the next month or so?
Coming up next here in the next couple weeks. We're about to watch this right now. You'll hear our thoughts on it in 2 weeks. But it is Hamburger the movie.
Yeah, starring Dick Butkus.
Starring Dick Butkus.
And I haven't seen this movie in 30 years.
We both realized we hadn't seen this since we were way too young to see this. So it's going to be fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
So come back in 2 weeks and check out our thoughts on Hamburger the movie.
Yeah, in the meantime, for Raw Force, I mean, again, 5 stars, man.
Yeah, 5 stars.
5-star ninja star.
We watched Jeff's copy, and I think halfway through the movie, I told Jeff, "It's like I'm immediately getting my own copy of this movie. I need to have it and watch it whenever I want." So so you will too, I think, after you see it.
Yeah. So anyway, this is Jeff Arbuckle.
This is Jason Oliver,
and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Warrior Island, uncharted and unexplored.
We should not be here.
Burial grounds for martial arts masters from the past. Their resting place is defiled. They rise from the dead to avenge their honor. Who will win, the living or the living dead?
I just can't see you in a whorehouse in the middle of the afternoon, Mike. It isn't like you.
I was just doing the guy a favor, Gary.